Hey guys, TCGLover here. Today's video is going to be a Forbidden List prediction September 2012. As you can see, I've made a little list of cards and I'm going to go through explaining each choice. I've only done this because I've seen many gone on like auto-reality games and they put lots of ban list predictions up, and some of them are absolutely dreadful. Like things like putting Stratus to 0 and Scapegoat to 3 is just it's so retarded. It's so bad. So I'm gonna basically use my knowledge, my extensive brilliance of this game, and I'm going to try and explain my choices, and hopefully you will just nod your head and go, yeah, you should just, Konami should just give you their company because clearly you know the game better. Anyway, so let's start off with Forbidden List. First thing is Monster Reborn, Mind Control, and possibly Sangan. Sangan is dependent on Tour Guide's place on the list if it does get hit at all, but mainly Monster Reborn is the big problem. It's been the kind of reason why the game is quite bad. I've noticed that stuff like Chaos Dragons, they can bring back their red eyes and then they can use red eyes to get something else and then do 5,000 damage with one card. It's like that's basically quite an extreme example, but the thing is the card is just really good. It's utilizable in every deck, and as soon as you play it, you gain a 1-for-1 at the very least. You have a choice of your cards or your opponent's cards, so basically you can use their cards against them. You can take cards out of their graveyard, so you take their Hornet and then they can't use it, so it's really bad. It's just really stupid, and I don't think it should be in this game anymore. And also with Monster Reborn taken away, Konami could bring back Dark Magician of Chaos. I haven't put it on this list because that's a bit kind of, the card is still quite good, but if you get rid of Monster Reborn, you can bring back D-Mark, which is a really good card. It's got a lot of fun things you can do with it. Anyway, the next one is Mind Control. It's been kind of hated quite a bit now because of the fact of it's like the best removal you could possibly think of. You can take their card and then you can Xyz or Synchro with it, and they don't get their monster back. Of course, if you top deck it, it's bad, which is kind of the reason why it's still in the game. I still don't like the card. I think it's really broken, and the way the game is going, the card is just retarded. In mirror matches, especially in Zeta mirror matches, it's just so retarded. Especially now that you can activate monsters' effects like Xyz monsters attaching their materials, and then you give them their monster back, and they've got no materials on it or something. It's just broke. Like you mind control their Leviair and then you get back Rescue Rabbit and then make your own Lagia. It's like one card, two Xyz monsters. It's stupid. Anyway, so yeah, Sangan is, if Sangan gets hit, then Tour Guide doesn't need to get hit because that means it's basically Fiend support. If Tour Guide gets hit to limited or semi-limited, then Sangan doesn't need to be hit because then it's just a free card tech. Really, it's kind of, the consistency goes down. So anyway, next up is Limited. I'm trying to hit every sort of major deck in some way to neutralize them so that new decks can come along, just the way that Konami does it. I'm trying to think realistically as well. I picked Wind Up Rat. I mean, a lot of players thought Zen Mighty was broke because Zen Mighty you can get Rat and then you can do it and then you can go. But why not just hit Rat, because Rat is incredibly broken. It's just it's like Lila. Like Lila's good. Lila's okay because if Lila could put itself in defense mode and then special summon a Jane from your graveyard and then you can go into Blade Armor. It's a one card, so that would be really dumb. And if that Blade Armor could special summon more Blade Armor ninjas, basically more Lilas, then that would be really stupid. So why would you allow that in Wind Up Rat form? I don't really understand that. And obviously Wind Up Rat is pretty much the centerpiece of Wind Up Hunter loop, because you can still loop your opponent out of 2 cards or something if you use Wind Up Rat, but it's like the deck still has a lot of cool things. You can still do the Wind Up Sharp Magician combo and get a rank 5. You can still do that stuff, so the deck is still really good, but Wind Up Rat, I think, especially combined with stuff like Monster Reborn, is the main reason why the deck is really good. Next up is Inzektor's Centipede. It's quite a lot of confusion as to what is the main card to hit in Inzektor's, because it's going to get hit some way or another. The noobs will say to hit Hornet, because Hornet is the one that does the popping, which means you have to ban it because one Hornet does the job fine. And Ladybug also means that you can do stupid shit. Dragonfly is been the main candidate to be hit, but I feel like Inzektor's Centipede is much more versatile. It's much bigger. You can just keep searching cards, and you don't even have to get a monster. You can get Zcalibur. So why not you just hit it? So limited, and Dragonfly has barely any targets left to summon, so you might as well just hit the search card instead. I think it's better anyway to do that. Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. This card is kind of like, I don't understand why it's at 3 at this point. It's one of those cards where you look at it and you go, sometime in the near future or in the distant future, it was going to get broken. It was going to get completely broken by a dragon deck that was actually going to be meta, because once they brought out that Dragons Collide, like they announced it in Shriek, I just knew that Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon was well on its way to getting hit on the ban list. Its ability to make that stupid loop with Light Pulsar Dragon. So Light Pulsar dies, you get back Red Eyes special summons Light Pulsar dies with Red Eyes, maybe Dark Hole, Torrential, or they just kill Red Eyes first and they kill Light Pulsar, you get back your Red Eyes. It's like, it's too many pluses and it's too good. It should not exist. Solemn Warning. I feel like Solemn Warning is one of those cards where obviously you have to pay life points, and paying 4,000 life points for 2 cards is quite a lot, but however, Solemn Warning should be a 1 card, just one of, because of its power. It's very, very strong. It's able to completely stop your opponent's turn. You know, they normal summon, you Solemn, it's like, you know, against stuff like Heroes and against cards like Insectors even, they rely on their normal summon. You know, it's really, really stupid. And Solemn Warning, you know, you've been able to negate stuff like Summoner Monk when you use their effect. It completely kills a card. The fact that you can negate a card's effect that special summons. I mean, it seems really specific, like situational, to have a card that does that. But so many cards do that. And obviously you can keep it at 2 with Monster Reborn banned, but I still don't like the fact that I can draw multiples of it and set both, and then basically my opponent's screwed. And it stops stuff like Starlight Road, because Starlight Road punishes mass destruction, which shouldn't exist anyway. I don't mind stuff like Dark Hole, because Dark Hole is kind of like, you're not going to play it if you have monsters on your field unless you've got game. You know, it's okay. But Solemn Warning, being able to stop, you know, not just monsters but anything basically, I think it's just as good as Solemn Judgment. 5-headed Dragon or ban Future Fusion. I wrote this because 5-headed Dragon is the card that they have to pick when they basically painful choice with in Chaos Dragons. You know, they send 2 Red Eyes Wyvern, and then they send 3 Darks, and then they can special Dad, and then 2 turns they get a 500 beat stick that can basically seal a game, and it can't be destroyed unless you have a light monster, which obviously doesn't even matter. So either stop that, so that means Future Fusion becomes useless in the deck, because there's no other dragon you can summon, really. Or you ban Future Fusion, because Future Fusion is not just in Chaos Dragons, it's generally used in many different decks. It's kind of regarded that Future Fusion is basically either useless in the deck that if you put it in a deck that has no way to use it, then it's crap, or you have a way to be able to use it in the deck and suddenly the deck becomes incredibly broken the moment that you draw it. I mean, it's using stuff like Future Fusion to dump Zephyros and like Stratus or something, and then you use Zephyros to bounce it back and do it again. And there are ways that you can keep putting it back in your hand with stuff like Bionic. Those stupid loops shouldn't exist. So even though my Alive Hero deck does play Future Fusion, I do feel like it's a really good idea just to get rid of it now. The deck is still viable, I can still do my OTK and everything, so I don't honestly mind. I just have to change it around a bit. But I mainly just want to get rid of Chaos Dragons because of the way that they're abusing the format's problems. Okay, so anyway, we're away from the limited list. Semi-limited, Mystical Space Typhoon. I don't want to be a money bitch or something, but Night Beam does exist now, and I feel like if you really wanted to replace a 3rd Typhoon, you could play Night Beam. But I feel like Mystical Space Typhoon at 2 and Heavy Storm at 1 is the perfect amount of back row destruction, because having 3 means that you basically can only play a few traps. You know, actually traps to go through, because your opponents, if you keep hold of your traps, your opponent's going to keep drawing MSTs, and then as soon as you set a trap, they're going to MST it before you can use it. So it's really like, it should be, you draw it and it's like, oh yeah, I can use it, but you know, not to always think, oh, I'm going to keep drawing them later in the game. So, you know, obviously putting MST down to 2 does help Final Countdown and other decks like that, but apparently, if you have noticed, players like Joe from Auto Reality Games, they have finally figured out a way to basically beat Final Countdown. If you burn them out before they can stop you, before they can do their 10 turns, then it's a lot. You can actually deal with Final Countdown in Chaos Dragons, because that was basically their worst matchup. You know, if you just think outside the box, you can beat them. So you don't need to have MST at 3 to make sure that all of their, set cards don't. Yeah. Well, anyway. Next up is Tour Guide. This Tour Guide being semi-limited only depends on where Sangan is on the list. As I said, Sangan gets banned, Tour Guide can be at 3. If Tour Guide's at 2, Sangan can stay. Rescue Rabbit, obviously I needed to find a way to hit Dino Rabbit somehow. Rescue Rabbit to 2, as well as Tour Guide to 2, does hurt the consistency because drawing Rescue Rabbit was important. Obviously, if you hit Sangan, if you hit Sangan, then you're relying basically on drawing Rescue Rabbit either through Potter Duality or just through drawing for your turn. Otherwise, you're screwed. There's no other way to get it into your hand. So possibly Sangan getting hit would hurt the deck a lot more. You could probably hit Sangan and not have to hit Rescue Rabbit, because Rescue Rabbit's consistency would drop dramatically even if you have 3 in your deck. And the last 2 hits are basically to put TG Agents back in the game. TG Striker and Agents of Mystery Earth. Obviously they're both tuna monsters, so Konami's going to be like, no. But TG Striker is a really good card, and it does promote XCs like rank 2s with Gachi and stuff like that. And they will bring that Daigusto, is it Daigusto? The one that lets you attack twice, the wind one. Lets you select a wind and then it attacks twice. It's got 1500 attack. If you bring back Striker, you can use that card because it's in the Amiga XC's Hidden Arsenal 6. An Agent of Mystery Earth, I have agents, and I do draw Venus a lot, but I do like the fact that I can Earth, and then I have Hyperion in my hand, and then basically Earth, get Venus into my hand, and drop Hyperion by removing that Earth, so I don't lose advantage, and I get monsters on the field. I mean, that is nowhere near as broken as the crap that Chaos Dragons can do. I just think that you should bring Mystery Earth back to 2. I mean, it's not going to make the deck tier 1 or anything, it's just kind of allows people to play it again. You can take it to a tournament and do quite well with it, but you still need to have that skill as a professional competitive player to know how to take it to the top. And for Unlimited, I'm not really kind of big on Unlimited really. You could, yeah, there we go. Unlimited Spore, because even though it does promote plant synchro, the deck is dead. It's nowhere near as powerful as the decks of this format, and you could bring back Spore because of the fact that you can change its level. It does allow you to XCs. People wouldn't use it though, so it doesn't really matter. Reborn Tengu Unlimited, obviously that does promote Tengu plants, but you still need to have the whole plant engine for it to work. Reborn Tengu, obviously when you XCs with it, you detach, and it doesn't get its effects, so you have to rely on it dying for it to special summon another one. So Reborn Tengu being at 3 really doesn't really matter, you would have to synchro with it. If you mind control a Tengu, you have to synchro with it, otherwise you're going to have to give it back, or you XCs with it. The last thing is Summoner Monk, as I just put down. Summoner Monk is doing nothing. The only reason why it was put on the list was because of Rescue Cat, Synchro, where you could summon a Monk, ditch a spell, get Rescue Cat, or ditch Summon a Monk, then ditch another spell to get Rescue Cat, and then you can summon 2 Dark Strike Fighters, and then you can 2006, loads of damage, and then you tribute both of them off for game. That was like 2 or 3 years ago now. Why it's still on the list, I don't understand. The card is stupid. Like, it's stupid as in bad. You discard a spell, and then they Veiler you, or you discard a spell, and then they Warning you, and there are so many things. You discard a spell, they flip Skill Drain. It's like, discarding a spell is perfectly balanced to special summon a monster from your deck that can't attack. It's like, it promotes XCs if you really want to go that way, even though that's terrible. Yeah, so you might as well just put it Unlimited. So yeah, that's pretty much my list. That some of my explanations probably weren't that good. I do feel like I've hit everything quite well, and brought a few things back. I try not to be biased. Obviously there's not much hero hate in here, even though, because I am playing heroes, but the main thing is that heroes are just have not got the oomph that the other decks do. They rely on their normal summon generally, and they can be quite fragile with the way they work. I just don't feel like they really need to be hit. Shatters to 0 especially should never happen, because without it the deck is completely dead. There's no reason why you should kill off an entire deck. It's just not fair. Of course, you can put something like emergency cooldown to 1, so you can do that. But anyway, this is my discussion. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you kind of nodded your head repeatedly, going, yeah, that was really good. that was a good choice and stuff like that. It only took me about 15 minutes because, you know, a lot of the choice is actually quite simple. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching the Chaos Dragon Ninja deck profile that I put on my video. If you haven't, could go on my channel and check it out. I might do an update of this ban list in about a month, like a week before it gets revealed in magazines and stuff like that, to see how close I got to it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and TCGLover out.